It is the front page Saturday Town Hall edition, and this is a very special Saturday. You know that. It is the KJLH Women's Health Expo, and it's going on right after this show today. You're going to want to go to KJLHradio.com, and this is our 20th anniversary, so it is going to be on. It's presented by Rasta Free. As you know, COVID's got everything online, but it's easy. Just go to KJLHradio.com and you'll see the panelists, you'll see the breakout sessions, you'll see your favorite KJLH air personalities and more. You could actually do it anytime today, but it kicks off right after this show at 10 a.m. Welcoming to the show, the founder of the Crenshaw Legal Clinic and the law offices of Nana Gyamfi. Gyamfi, welcome. Also joining our panel this morning.
Love being on Saturday. That's never happened before. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's exciting. We're also being joined by the co-founder of the Baldwin Hills Lamert Crenshaw Local of the LA Tenants Union, Zerita Jones. Welcome, Ms. Jones.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And Marie Deary, founder of Wealth Management Financial Advisors Incorporated. It's a company dedicated to the needs of individuals and families who are typically overlooked by the financial service industry. We wonder who those people are. Good morning, Marie Deary.
Good morning, Dominique, and good morning, family, front page family, on a beautiful Saturday morning.
Indeed it is. So I want to start with you, Zerita. You know, it is confusing for some people. We've got a state moratorium on evictions, which I believe ended yesterday. We just talked about the county one, which has been extended to September 30th. Some cities have their own, and yet still some renters are stressed out and feeling like they are still being pressured. How do you keep track of all these different deadlines and what our rights really are in this extraordinarily unusual time?
Wow. Keeping track is one of the hard ones. They change everything, sometimes daily, if not weekly. I am on the line, meaning Zoom, with several lawyers several times a week, and we're just trying to make sense of it. And the tenants are actually stressed out. I'm the first call, you know, with the lockouts and the eviction filings and the harassment. And we do everything we can. We have rapid response teams to try to get them back in, to talk to the police. We have letters. We have workshops in order to inform them of their rights as they change. We have, I call it my email blast. So anytime something changes, I blast all of the members of the Los Angeles Tenants Union, and then I blast our media team. So that way all 15 locals can get the information.
I didn't realize there were 15 local branches of the LA Tenants Union. That's a powerful statement in itself. Attorney Nana Gyamfi, what is the mistake that most tenants and, you know, people struggling financially, what do you see legally the biggest mistake we're making in this environment?
So right now, a couple of things. One of them is people, and it's not really a mistake, it's because of that intimidation and harassment that Zerita was talking about. People are agreeing to make payments. People are being intimidated by their landlords into thinking that they have to enter into these separate contracts where they agree to pay what they owe on top of what's coming ahead of time. And unfortunately, in entering those contracts, they could actually be depriving themselves of their rights under this moratorium. So that's one big one. The second one is not understanding that the moratoriums are different, as you just described earlier, for the state, for the city in some cases, for the county, and therefore making sure that they keep up with what is going to apply to them. And so, again, I don't want to describe it as mistakes because that puts the burden on people, like, you know, there's something wrong with them, on renters, when it's actually the government that is not providing the protection from landlord harassment and not providing good, clear, clean information for people to be able to follow.
All right, and I want to toss it to you now, Marie Deary. You maybe are accessing benefits for people that a lot of people are not even aware of. I want to start with that just because, although I know you help people hold on to their homes, what you're working on day and night right now is helping people with the PPP loans. And we've just got another week, I think.
Yes, Dominique. The SBA has two of the biggest stimulus programs for small businesses, and they are the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and the Paycheck Protection Program, which is the PPP loan. And these are loans that the government made available to small businesses, any business that is 500 or less, and particularly the group that I am working with are the sole proprietors and the self-employed.
Right, the independent workers, a lot of independent workers, right?
Yes, they fall under the sole proprietors, the independent, the truck drivers, the beauty salons, and so forth. And so the government has made it possible for those individuals to keep their business going, because we know as a result of this pandemic, several businesses have had to close their doors completely. So in order to help them avoid the unemployment roll, they made this money available.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just condensing everything because our Saturday shows are go by so quickly.
And so the monies became available so that these individuals can apply. So that's the group I have been working with for the last 3 months to secure those monies so that they can keep their business going.
Right. So two key things that I want to make sure people get out of this conversation with you. One is that they should make sure they don't qualify, because a lot of us are just assuming, well, I'm not a corporation. You could be an independent worker and you may qualify. And the other thing is to get help, right?
Yeah, you need to get help to fill the applications out. It may sound easy, the EIDL, which is you have to apply directly to the SBA, and the PPP you can apply through the companies that are online banks and other lending institutions that has been certified by the SBA, and so those are the places that you can apply to get these money.
But you can, someone like Marie or Vermont Slauson Economic Development Corporation or some kind of community financial institution that can help you with this. I want to go back to Zerita Jones. A lot of people are saying, and I see this out on protests, cancel rent, in stuff like that. But what about, the mom and pop landlords? There are a lot of people that is our only wealth that we have in the community, African American, Latino, families. And how is that fair to them? Like, what's the balance here?
Well, I believe that they're covered by the CARES Act. And those that have mortgages are the ones that are supposed to be able to write that letter to their mortgage company asking for the forbearance that they've been affected by COVID. Of course, their renters aren't paying you.
Right, but all the forbearance does is delay you paying your mortgage. It doesn't give you any relief. It just says 3 months from now you're going to owe 3 months of mortgage.
No. The 180 days.
Okay, 180. Whenever it is, you're going to end up with a big old bill, and you may end up losing your home, and then that becomes part of the gentrification problem.
The poorest part is that 180 days can be granted twice. So that puts it at the very end, which is a year, which is the same that the renters have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And once that is done, but the problem that I'm finding is we're not getting those being granted to us in our community. That's where the problem comes in.
The forbearance.
But you're not being granted. So the same things apply as the Rule 1 for renters. Basically, put it at the end. No fees, don't ding your credit, yada, yada, yada. But they're being denied. They're being paused. And what I find and what I'm hearing from some of the mom and pops that are in the circles, because we do have landlords that are in the Los Angeles Tenants Union also. Most people think it's all tenants, but no, we have homeowners there. And what we're finding out is the bad actors, the Bank of America, the Wells Fargos, and the ones from the previous crisis are the ones that are not granting these extensions.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, and honestly, Zerita, this is another show for another day, but I feel like we need to look at relief more than forbearance for landlords and tenants. Like, help me pay this. Don't saddle me with a huge bill that I'm not going to be able to pay a year from now. That's just my perspective. But
just remember, it's called cancel rent and mortgages.
Nana Gyamfi, what do you say to that? I'm sure you probably, sitting there with a comment about, how do we...
Dominique.
Yeah, I know you well.
No, I was thinking exactly what you just brought up, Dominique, at the end, is that really there needs to be an end to the conversation about putting things over till later, as if magically, when we get to the time when people can operate without total fear of COVID-19, that money is going to suddenly appear, right? And so I think that we bailed out. When I say we, I'm talking about our taxpayer money, bailed out all of these banks and mortgage companies. And so that's okay. They can take one for the team. They just need to not have folks owing them mortgage right now. And especially when we're talking about these mom and pops. I mean, the big corporations, they're, all making more money than they've ever made before. So that's a different conversation. But with the mom and pops, that needs to be a mortgage end, like just don't do the mortgage at all. In the same way I think that with rent, instead of coming up with ways as the city of LA has to pay landlords money and to, instead of figuring out how you can hold renter from paying for another year or whatever, I think that they should just cancel rent, cancel mortgages for those that are not corporations, and let us try to survive. Housing is a human right. And this country needs to start acting like housing is a human right, from the federal all the way to the local level.
You know what I'm going to say. I mean, it sounds great. It also doesn't sound realistic. But, of course, I said a lot of things didn't sound realistic that, people are currently talking about in the movement for Black Lives. So we'll see how that plays out. Marie Deary, what are some other resources that, people who are really up against it financially right now should know about but don't? They're not taking advantage of.
Well, Dominique, I think what the lenders should do as far as the homeowners, they should modify these loans. It's not about giving a forbearance, because forbearance, all that forbearance means is that after that period of time, the homeowner has to come up with that money. They should just take whatever you owe, whether it's a 6 months relief, and put it at the back end of the loan with no consequences.
Yeah, that does sound good. Zerita Jones from the LA Tenants Union, what are some of the rights that people typically don't know about? I mean, I think Nana Gyamfi brought up a great point about not signing a deal that signs away what the county, what the city, what even the feds may have provided you in terms of eviction protection. But what other rights are people not aware of that you typically wish they were?
Well, that's the number one. I think when this first started, there is a housing and community investment department letter that's been put out that every owner was supposed to give the tenants, which there's check boxes and you're supposed to say, why you were affected and send this in. But incorporated in that is an agreement. So the Los Angeles Tenants Union is telling people, do not utilize that letter. We have prepared letters for tenants that are free of charge. You can get online and utilize those letters, which is not an incorporated agreement, which the attorney was saying. And that's number one. Two, you don't have to pay right now. If you can't pay, please don't be stressed out. Just stay at home, stay in place, stay safe, and basically stay alive. Because tenants that pass away from COVID aren't going to be paying any rent at all. And then we want them to know that there is a right to counsel. So, if this goes out of proportion, if their landlord decides to follow them anyway. Everyone has the right to have an attorney, and we have things in place. We have toll-free numbers. We are putting up our website so you can get the training that you need, and you'll be handed directly to an attorney. And that is called our Stay Housed. So look for that, because we're going to launch that next week. We do not want any of these people that are housed right now to be one of the 74,000 that is unhoused. And also, you have a personal right to action. You know, during this COVID time, if you were harassed and given notices and 3-day notices, well, there's a private right to action where you send them a letter, you let them know. They have 15 days to rescind that in order for you not to feel harassed. And of course, the illegal lockouts are illegal. You know, you cannot evict someone, you cannot lock them out, you cannot block their property without a court order, and it has to be done by the sheriff's department. And these landlords are doing it on their own, and we call that self-help evictions, and those are illegal. So our guide to you is to stay sheltered, stay in place. If you're having a problem, please contact the Los Angeles Tenants Union. We will definitely have a rapid response team respond to you.
Okay, let's give out those numbers. I mean, you said you're launching Stay Housed next week, and I assume that's connected with your website. So why don't you give out the number and website where people could access?
It's not ready yet.
Okay.
We are definitely in the testing stages, and I will definitely let you know what all that information is.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No worries, but you also mentioned forms that people can access online. Where would they get that?
They would get that at the LosAngelesTenantsUnion.org.
Okay, and do you have a number?
.org. Everything is online. And if anybody wants to I guess speak to me personally, the number is 323-425-5100.
Wow. Okay, that's very generous of you. I hope they don't flood you.
Hey, I got a team to help me out.
All right, that's a blessing. Attorney Nana Gyamfi, what would you add to that? I mean, you said the basic thing, don't sign it, that most attorneys tell us without having your attorney or the legal clinic look at it. What other rights do you wish we knew?
So people need to also understand that under this COVID rent moratorium, that you need to show that that you've been affected by COVID. So this is not just a, get out of rent free pass. And so people need to make sure to hold on to that information. And, whatever proof you have that COVID affected you, make sure that you have that so that you can assert this right. If you are taken to court, because I think a lot of folks are going to be taken to court. And as much as you have a right to counsel and to try to get counsel, you also have the right to represent yourself. And I know that with the tenants unions, Zerita, and with others, such as myself, with Justice Warriors for Black Lives, even Black Alliance for Just Immigration, who works on behalf of Black immigrants, that we're working to make sure people are trained on how to do this themselves if they are taken into eviction court. And, you have the right to do that. It's not like if you don't have an attorney, you got to throw your hands up in the air and you're doomed and you're evicted. So I think those two things are, people think that. They're like, I don't have an attorney. I'm messed up. And then they just sit around. So,
but the things that you're talking about are like proof that you lost your job, proof that you actually had COVID or had to take care of someone who did have COVID, proof, that some kind of proof that you were impacted some kind of way about COVID.
Correct. And even if you're commercial, this extends to commercial too. So just to add that point, that if you have a business and you have a commercial rent, that this also extends to you. And so when we're thinking about our Black businesses on Crenshaw and our businesses in Inglewood and Hawthorne and Gardena, selling African soap and African cloth, etc., the Caribbean store, all of that, you are able to be to be covered by this county-wide moratorium, but you better keep those receipts or lack of.
Great point. Marie Deary, I know that one of the biggest misconceptions with people not getting this PPP money is that people just don't understand who's eligible. And we've joked around on the front page, if you're the guy selling incense in front of the post office, if you're the woman who has a side hustle doing nails, those people could actually get a paycheck protection loan, right? And they would be their own employee.
Yes, because those people work for themselves, and if you're working for yourself, you are the employee, and so that you can get qualified for the PPP. So I advise people to apply. Unfortunately, we are not taking any new clients because we are just overwhelmed, but they can get help.
Yeah, I know I'm probably the source of Vermont's Loss and Economic Development Corporation getting swamped too, but I know are offering help. And we found out this week that the NAACP is referring people to banks that are more likely to grant you that paycheck protection loan. So that's another stop you could make is check with a local branch of the NAACP on that. We could talk about this all day. Unfortunately, we do not have time. Zerita Jones, since it's my very first time interviewing you, what will you leave us with this morning?
Just hang in there. You have people out there that are willing to help. You have the Tenants Union. You have other agencies out there that are also helping, trying to inform everybody within South LA and around in the areas that, there are people that will assist you. And like I said, you have the LATenantsUnion.org. There's 15 different locals, including Inglewood and Lenox. So please get some help and don't throw your hands up because there are people out there that will inform you, and all it takes is a call or a click.
Marie Deary is at wealthmanagementlb.com. Zerita Jones, LATenantsUnion.org. Nana Gyamfi, how can we reach you for the Crenshaw Legal Clinic?
So you can reach me by reaching out by email, Attorney Gyamfi, GYAMFI, @gmail.com. You can also catch me on Facebook, and you get Nana Gyamfi, my name, and you can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Attorney Nana.
Nana Gyamfi, Zerita Jones, and Marie Deary, thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, we will continue our conversation. Congresswoman Nanette Barragan will be on with us. And do not forget, it is KJLH Women's Health Expo Day. It all kicks off at 10 o'clock at KJLHradio.com because we're going virtual for our 20th anniversary. It's Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.